Hey guys, Andy Bacon here with the Bacon Group. Hey, I wanted to do a quick video on wholesaling and understanding the numbers because they're pretty important when it comes to wholesaling. So I've grabbed some slides I've done from one of the seminars in the past and kind of put this together in a quick video. All right, so let's see where we go. Okay, so understanding the numbers, first of all, there's a couple of nice quotes I want to get out of the way. Every failure brings with it the seed of an equivalent success. In other words, you're going to trip along the way. Learn from it. Get over it. Move on. Also, things turn out best for those people who make the best of the way things turn out. Again, get over it. You're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen. Just keep a positive attitude, and because good things will come. It is a fact. Simple as that. All right? Okay. So what is wholesaling? It's when you find a property, you get the property under contract, you find a buyer for the property, you assign the contract with the buyer for a fee, or you double close the contract with the buyer for a fee. Usually that's how these things work. Okay, so basically you find a deal, get it under contract, and you flip your contract for a fee. Okay, who are these buyers? Primarily these buyers are fix and flippers and landlords. Every once in a while, depends on how you run your business, it might be a retail buyer. Okay, but 99.9% of the time it is fix and flippers or landlords, investors. Okay, so the anatomy of a deal. Every deal, whether it be a fix and flip or a rental property, pretty much has all of these components involved, and you have to understand that all these deals have these components. So we've got the purchase price, we have a cost of purchasing, we've got the insurance, taxes, cost of repair, cost of holding the property. If you're holding it for 2 months as a rental and going to refi, you've got holding costs for a couple of months. If you're doing a fix and flip, it's anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7 to 8 months. Cost of money or loan payments. The profit, the cost to sell, and the selling price. Even if you're doing a rental property, you will probably sell it someday, so you probably want to buy a property with equity. And because we are wholesalers in this particular video, don't forget your wholesale fee, okay? Okay, so every deal we start at the end and work our way backwards. And the end is what we call the after repaired value, or the ARV, or basically the retail number after it's all fixed up, or the as-is appraisal, or the future appraisal. It's the end, it's the goal, and we work our way backwards on how to get there, all right? So we have the after repaired value, and from that value of $200,000 or whatever it is, we need to take away cost of selling it, the repair cost, the holding cost, the cost of the purchase, and your profit. Okay? Is there anything else we're missing? Possibly the wholesale fee if you're a wholesaler. Right now I'm looking at this as though it's my own deal. Okay? So I want to talk about holding costs for a moment. Right here, because this is a big one, because you don't know who your buyer is yet, probably. So you're looking at deals, you get one under contract, and now you're going to go out and promote it to your network of buyers, or put branded signs around or something. But quite frankly, you don't really know who that person is going to be, and they come in different flavors, and I'm going to explain that now. So the holding cost. Okay, the holding costs are the utilities, snow removal, lawn care, maintenance, and other things, and I put the cost of money in there. And the reason I put it under holding costs is if I'm doing a fix and flip and I'm pretty good, I might be in and out of it in 3 months, 4 months. Okay, which means the cost of my money is only at 3 or 4 months. If I take a year, the cost of money is a year, and I want to show you how expensive the cost of money can be. Depends on who your buyer is again. So let's look at the money on a deal, how it flows. Okay, so let's say I find a deal and the purchase price is $90, and I think it's going to cost me $20 to fix it up. So obviously I or my buyer needs $110,000 to do this deal. Okay, and we believe the ARV is 140 after repaired value. Okay, so I go shopping around for the money, and I find a loan product. Somebody who's going to loan me 90% of the purchase. They'll loan me 90% of the repair cost, up to 75% of the after repaired value, and they'll loan that money to me at 4 points and 13% interest. So let's see what that looks like. So they loan me the money at 90% of the 90,000. They're going to give me 81 grand. If they loan me 90% of my repairs, they're going to give me 18 grand. Okay, so they're going to give me $99,000. Okay, and then there's this silly thing that says, but they'll also give me 75% of the ARV. So if the ARV is 140,000 and my lender agrees, then they're willing to give me up to 105. So how do I go from 99 to 105? Probably the easiest way to do that is increase your repair costs until the whole calculation matches 105,000, then borrow the 105 and don't repair it to the full amount. It's as simple as that. So because I'm always looking for the most I can get. So right now, we believe that we can all borrow $105,000 from this particular lender. So I just learned one thing. The deal requires 110. So whoever I'm selling my property to, they better have $5,000 in their own pocket. So that's one thing I've learned about what the money looks like when we're borrowing. All right. I want to kind of make that clear for some of the newer folks out there. Okay. So the cost of money. Okay. So I borrowed the 105,000, and the guy said it was 13% interest. So for a year, that's going to cost me $13,650. And let's say I'm going to do a fix and flip, and I think I'm going to be in and out of there for 6 months. Okay, so it'll be $6,800 for the price of the money alone. And then he said something about 4 points. So and the points come right off the top. So the second you sign the document, you sign on the dotted line for a loan, you were just charged the points. Okay, so an interest rate is one thing, and the faster you are, the cheaper the loan is on the interest rate. But points happen today. They happen as soon as you sign on the dotted line. There's no getting out of it. So quite frankly, a lot of times the interest rate is almost not as important to me as it is the points, depending on how fast I think I can get it in and out of a fix and flip. Okay, so what I'm saying here is for a 6-month cost of a loan, just for the money to do this deal with that particular lender, it's going to cost me $11,000. Okay, so my holding costs for a 6-month fix and flip might be, say, I don't know, $15,000. I would probably put $15,000 in my plan of attack going forward. Okay, so you can see that's how expensive money is. So if I have a buyer who's buying at no points and 8% from private money, or he's got a cheaper loan at 12% and 2 points, you can see how it really moves this data line around a little bit as far as the holding costs. Okay, hope that's clear. Okay, so I'm going to summarize it one more time. So first off, we determine the after repaired value, the ARV. We always start with that. Then we determine the following costs: cost to sell it, the repair cost, the holding costs, and the cost of purchase, and then of course whatever profit we're chasing. All right. Then we decide on the buyer's profit target. Okay, subtract all these costs and the buyer's profit from the ARV. Don't forget your wholesale fee, because when we say all the costs, that's a cost to your buyer. Okay, this is if I'm buying it myself. This is if I'm wholesaling it. I got to put my fee back in there. Okay, when you do all of that, you now come up with what we call a maximum allowable offer, a MAO, and I'll show you what this looks like in two different scenarios. Okay, so here's a scenario that most, especially the new investors, all use. And basically, it's a formula, and it's a formula that really can't go wrong on, to be honest. ARV times 70% minus the repair cost equals your maximum allowable offer. Okay. What we were just talking about was this: ARV minus the holding costs, minus the cost of repair, minus the selling cost, minus the profit, came up with my maximum allowable offer. Okay, so when I play with the pieces, 175 minus the holding costs, minus the repair costs, minus the selling costs, minus the minimum profit my fix and flipper is chasing, I can make an offer of $111,000 for my own deal. If I went and looked up at the formula above, ARV times 70 minus repair, the most I could offer would be 102. Okay, So in a competitive market, who wins on this deal? It basically tells me I can offer somewhere between $102,000 and $111,000. Or what it tells me is I can offer anything under $111,000 and I can win. All right. Now, if I'm a wholesaler, I still got to take that wholesale fee out of there, and these numbers change a little bit to my end buyer. Okay. Here's another thing I want to show is a fix and flip on the same deal versus a buy and hold on the same deal. If I'm buying as a wholesaler, if I'm looking for deals and this one fits a fix and flip model, I can only offer $91,000 because my holding costs and my cost of repair are much higher than if I'm selling to a landlord, because their holding costs will be much less. Their cost of repair usually will be less. And quite frankly, depending on who your buyer is, they may or may not even have the profit built in now. In other words, the equity or whatever you want to call it. So I just wanted to show you what they look like side by side, the same deal, which basically tells you it is easier as a wholesaler to find rental properties as long as they cash flow, which is what I want to talk about next. Okay, so if I'm looking for a rental property wholesaling scenario, you need to know two simple pieces of math to be successful. Okay, so the first one is above the black line, the second one is below the black line. So the first one is, this is what we do. We take the monthly rents, what we think the property can rent for, times 12 months, times 65%. What we're saying is it costs an investor roughly 35% to manage the property during the course of a year. Taxes, insurance, maintenance, maybe a vacancy rate, maybe a property manager, there are a few things. We use 65%. You could even use 60%. In other words, 40% it costs for all that stuff. It depends on who your landlord is going to be. But we use 65. We think that that's a pretty good number. We can usually sell that. Okay, so it's basically monthly rents times 12 months times 0.65 divided by the total cash invested will give you an ROI. All right, so $700 times 12 months times 0.65 divided by 50,000 becomes an ROI of 10.9. So if I knew that I was all in at 50,000, in other words, let's say we buy it for $30,000, or I'm under contract, and I think it's going to need $10,000 to fix up by my investor, so that's up to 40, and I want a $10,000 wholesale fee. So I'm going to divide it by 50,000 because that's what my investor, my buyer, will be all in. His return will be 10.9. I can also, once I get going, a lot of times you're going to understand, your buyers are going to say, listen, I'll do anything as long as it returns at 12%. Or you'll start to learn the neighborhoods and you'll realize, this is a bad neighborhood. I need 16% or better to sell it. This is a good neighborhood. I can sell it for 10 or 12%. So we look at it two different ways. So monthly rents times 12 months times 0.65 divided by the ROI will give you the total cash. 700 times 12 months times 0.65 divided by the ROI will give you the total cash investment. So if I were to do this for a moment, let's grab this fellow, okay? And I were to say, okay, well, I've got an investor on the same deal, and he says he'll do anything for 14% on this one down here. So I'm going to go, okay, I've got this deal. It rents for 700 times 12 months equals times 0.65 equals divided by 0.12. My investor says he'll do anything for 12% equals 45.50. Okay, 45.5, sorry. So in this deal, my investor has to be an all-in no more than that. So I know for my maximum allowable offer, I subtract my wholesale fee, I subtract the cost of repair. So I might offer the seller on this particular deal $25,500. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm leaving these two formulas up here. So you want to get good at these formulas. It takes just a second. It's either rents times 12 months times 0.65 divided by the cash number, or rent times 12 months times 0.65 divided by the ROI. It depends on how you want to look at it. All right. Let's see what else we've got. Oops. Let's see if there's anything else coming up here. I think that is it. This goes on to whole other seminar on finding deals. Anyway, okay. So I hope that helped. Just understanding those numbers forwards and backwards. All right. Otherwise, I will see you all on another video or on the phone. Cheers.